How we doing today, guys? It is famine. It is Tuesday. It's our normal stream day. Happy to be here. I see we've already got some people in the audience. I appreciate you guys turning out. I'm going to let a couple more people get in here, but I wanted to say I appreciate the love you guys have been showing. You guys turned out for Wendzilla's stream yesterday over on the Toy Crew there. So be sure to check those out on Mondays over on the Wendzilla Reboot. So we got that. That's exciting. While you're here, if you don't mind, take a second, hit the like button. Helps the channel, helps boost this thing up in the algorithm. So wanted to throw that out there. Hey, Brad, what's going on? Bjorn. Yeah, I've heard that about you. I didn't want to say anything, but we don't judge here. I mean, I judge a little, but I keep it to myself. Oh, also over on Rad Toys Galaxy. That is correct. Yep. So be sure to check that out. We are taking a 2-week break from doing the World Makers Consortium on Fridays because the holidays are coming up. Things are going to be a little busy. I'm going to be out of town Friday evening for a concert. You know, everybody's got stuff going on, holiday shopping, family dinner. So take a couple-week break. We're going to come back. We're going to hit it hard, hit it fast. We're going to be doing a holiday giveaway announcement. Should be a good time. So like the thumbnail says, today I wanted to take a look at, I want to do some greebling and some trash bashing and maybe a little kit bashing too, to decorate that wall that was in the thumbnail. You guys have seen it. It's the one where the Saturn light is, the neon Saturn light. I have some ideas. I'll run them by you guys. Excuse me, because I want you guys to contribute. But I've collected a few things, a few items that I want to repurpose and reuse and show you guys, you know, what we got going on. What's up, Twi'lek? And we've got Red here. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Oh, we're not putting Gimmick back together. We are building and expanding Gimmick. It's turned into a project, but I'm truly enjoying it. So, and I mean, if you guys haven't seen the footage, when this show is over, go check out the video about the kaiju attack on Gimmick. It was a true tragedy, and yeah, we're looking to get places and get things built back stronger. So yeah, look at that, everybody's saying hi to each other. I like that. So as you guys can tell, and I've said before, I'm going for more of a aesthetic that suits my world building and my needs, what brings me joy, and that's more along the lines of Firefly and Blade Runner, space westerns, you know, that type of thing. Think more smuggler, less big city, that type of aesthetic, and as such, you guys tried to figure out how to like import photos here. We're gonna try something. We're just gonna try this right now. All right, so all right, here we go. Do this. Share this on the screen here, and guess we'll just open that up. Oh, I don't care what we open it in. Can I just open it? All right, so let me just slide this aside and see. Nope, of course I can't share the. Ridiculous. Hang on, we're gonna figure this out together. There we go. All right, so this is the wall that I'm talking about. As you can see, I've started to add in some brickwork over in the corner. One of the important things to me about Gimmick is that it appears as a kind of like a ruined, not ruined, but a former military use, a former temple. Like this place has had a few lives, and somehow it's just outlined far enough away that it's only really passed hands through smugglers and you know, maybe some people exploring, archaeologists, but it's never really gotten to the mainstream. So people come here and they set up things, and it's kind of its own niche space. So as you can see, I've got this area laid out. I've got some cables hanging from the ceiling. I've left some of the artwork up on the walls for the advertisements because I do want to have like that little built-in bodega there. Um, and then, as you can see, I redid the floor, gave it some more textures. There's actually been more textures added since then, and it'll get another final dry brush and then a pass before. But here's a little bit of a better look at the stonework that I'm doing. There will be some smaller bricks, some bigger bricks. There's these metal attachments that I designed that will be around there. Who knows what they were used for? Maybe it was a way to pass energy cables through the walls. Maybe it was just, bars supporting something. It's kind of mystery, adds a little bit to the lore. And I wanted to, throw that up there for you. And then I also wanted to just show off again these little greeblies here. Not greeblies, but they're rivets that I made with a hole punch through a couple of different colors of foam and some plastic card, just so I had a variety in that size. And I'll be doing a video on making more of that, but wanted to share this with you guys. So there's that. Hey Dom, how's it going? Good to see ya. He's here on a Tuesday. This is amazing. This is magical. I want everybody who doesn't already to follow Toy Domination and tune into their shows on Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. Go check it out. So, some of the things that I've got laid out that I want to take a look at before we get started, before I, adjust the camera so we can get cracking on things, are some stuff that I've set aside that I think are pretty useful in world building and, just general design. First, you need a beverage. Let me get that out of the way. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Audi. Gotta open the beverage right now. You ready? We're gonna crack open a cold one with the boys and girls and anybody in between and above and outside. There we go. All right. So, one of my number one Greeblies that's inexpensive that I go for if I spend any money, because you guys know I love doing things on the cheap, is PVC pipes. The actual big, boy, that's on there pretty good. The actual PVC the piece that I use for connections and lengths, I think it's a 1/4 inch. I paid. Hi, Liam. Oh, there's children. I'm not gonna put that comment up on the screen for now. But they're essentially, like, I think I bought this at a hardware store. It was a 8-foot length of it for $4 or $5. I'm sure it's a little more expensive now because PVC, just like everything else, building supplies, price goes up, 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 rarely comes down. But that piece has lasted me through world building. It's lasted me through actually having to use it for something. It's lasted me through cosplay. So I do recommend the elbows. Elbows and joints, connection joints, they still float in between 50 cents all the way up to a few bucks, but I usually just buy a handful of them here and there, pay for them, and you can make lengths of pipe. The angles are great because you can have them coming off of a wall at different angles. This could be a relief, for gas. This, could be mounted this way, and it could be a downspout for something. Gives you a lot of options, and it's PVC plastic. It's rugged enough, if, say, you wanted to make it a modular piece, put a vent up here. I used to have one that was modular, and you could, set it down and move it around on your play set, let your kids play with it, let your neighbors play with it, give it to people you don't like, throw it at them. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but you can. And that PVC is solid, and it's a good piece, and it takes primer really well. I usually use, when I'm doing something that's going to be really handled, I'll scuff everything down, sandpaper, Scotch-Brite, whatever you can to rough it up, spray it down with some primer, and this stuff takes a good prime to it. Easily paintable, really easy to use. So that's one of those things that we'll be using, but I wanted to point that out. We're going to keep it in the wheelhouse of pipes. This was one I started working on a while ago. This was a piece that I had that mounted up against the wall. You can kind of see how this was. Let's see here. You find PVC at thrift stores too, Goodwill, Salvation Army, Habitat. I would imagine Habitat. For world building stuff, I don't generally pick it up at Habitat just because that's like around here. That's a big public service. They really um, go through stuff here for people, but they also like in their stores when they sell things, they sell it at ridiculous prices. Wasteman, what's happening? So I tend not to pick things up there, but if it works in your area, please do pick it up. So as I was saying, I had this as a piece. It was mounted. You probably saw it in a couple of photos at one point. It was up against the side of a building. I recently added this collar and just used those little beads that I get from the dollar store with the adhesive backing and make some rivets, painted it silver and blended it in. Then I got to thinking, okay, well, what else can we use to really beef this up? And so I did a strip of EVA foam, just an offcut, and I used a pipe, which is again going to be in another video, brass pipe. It's the reason I picked up these brass tubes, which is sharpened. Let's see if we can get it to focus in. You can kind of see the bevel on the edge there. And then I literally come down straight 90-degree angle, just give it a twist back and forth, and it cuts through the foam. And you can go through, and I cut out like 4 or 5 or 6 of them, then just kind of down the pipe, and it blows the foam rivets out, and you've got a stack of them that you can use. And that's what I did there. That's just, you can see, actually it probably fits right. Yeah, look at that. Fits right over it because that's what it came from. Just made some big rivets. We'll seal that and put that there. Now you're saying to yourself, Famine, what are those wonderful looking pipes? They look like they would work great for 112 and 118. I say to you, they're these guys right here. Got them on Amazon. They are basically happy childhood connecting pipes, right there. What do they say in the box? Water pipe plug match building block. That's, search for plastic toy pipes and you'll find these. Whole box comes with a S-ton of pieces, X joints, T joints, single pieces, elbows. The wheels I haven't found a real use for, but they exist. And what I like to do with these is I will use the elbows and angles to make smaller pieces. But if I need any length in between those pipes, you can get I think it's 1/4-inch wood. 1/4-inch wood dowel, and just place it in there, and it extends the pipe out, and then you just put another piece on the end. I use a little hot glue to hold it in place, and then I paint it just the same way, and it blends right in. This one is all plastic, all those pieces from there, but it's just, a couple of elbows. And then when I wanted to beef up the pieces that were narrow and didn't have like a collar like this, like I said, EVA foam or card stock, I should say, from a cereal box with some rivets. The rivets on here are foam, and we kind of went over how to make those. So that's another piece that we'll be painting up to match. And then we'll be thinking about a spot to attach this up there. So we've got that. We've got those 2 piping things out of the way. I know a lot of you guys are beer drinkers or cider drinkers. Even they have those canned wines now. Around here, a lot of them come in 4-packs, the tall boys especially. Anytime we get some from the local 9-pin cider, or I see somebody has them in their fridge, I ask, hey, can I have the plastic rack that's on the top? And it looks like, imagine 4 of these stuck together with little plastic pieces in between. They are recyclable, but I want them. So I take them and then I sand them down, always, because this crappy plastic doesn't want to get bit by glue. It wants to be super smooth and release the adhesive. So I scuff them up. But I love using the flat ones that don't have any advertisements on there or anything. You could put GREEBLIES on them. I've been using them actually as connection pieces to mount to the top up in here. And actually there's one behind this sign here. Of course, it's out of camera view. But I use that. I just put caution stripes on it after I painted it black and silver. And you can thread your shoelace or your wire, your cable, or whatever it is you're using, and have that as like a junction box. So maybe you only have like a small length of cable, but you really want to use it from this thing. You tuck it into the back of here because there's these 4 awesome little spaces, so it acts like a lip for the cans. You tuck that in there with a little bit of hot glue or even a little bit of Elmer's glue out of the way. It's going to stay there. It's going to be up out of the way, and it looks like just like a weird sci-fi junction box. So those ones without the writing on it are good for that. And then the ones with the writing on it, you can do one of 2 things, right? You can get your piece of sanding paper, whatever, 80 grit, 60 grit, set it down on a block outside and wet sand it until you've got a polish. I don't do that. I actually will utilize these I'll scuff them up. They still do get scuffed up, but I'll glue stuff to this, right? I'll use this as an attach point to other things, so it kind of hides up because you'll have imperfections. It's going to look kind of rough unless you really sit there, like I said, and scuff that up. So you do something like that, and then I have several boxes of Greeblies, and this is one of the things I was doing the other day. Is I was trying to organize and come up with ways to store things, but I've got some Greebly boxes right here. We could talk about those too. They're fun, but I gave away some of these, not the Greeblies, but the molds to make these, because I do have my own molds. Excuse me, but they're Evil Ted cosplay molds, but they have like these really great sci-fi textures, look like giant screws, gears. This one is made of tinted resin that I did. It was my first time trying to tint resin. I just did a whole batch, and I would argue sometimes that the worse they look, the better they look when it comes to putting them up. The reason I like doing the black tinted resin is that way if it ever chips, all that's going to show through is the black, but the gray also works. I've done it with hot glue. You get some high temperature hot glue. You put your silicone mold on a mat, like a metal tray. If you have a toaster oven that you guys use for curing clay or melting styrene sheets for vacuum forming, whatever it is you do, or just get a cheap toaster oven. Keep it out in the garage, away from the walls. Use that to do this. Anyway, I'm going to teach you right now. You take your mold, say this is your mold, you put it on your pan. It's going to get nice and hot. What I do is I take my hot glue gun, a high temperature hot glue gun. I place the tip in the mold and I slowly pump the glue in. And you take your time. It's not a race, because no matter what, you're still getting this thing dried and out of the mold quicker than a lot of resins that aren't fast cure. But you just slowly work that in there, right? And you get it full up. And then I don't recommend that method, Dom. But you get it full and then you stick it in the oven, 200, 300. And what that does is that heats everything. That silicone is rated for 450 and hot and lower. So you're not going to heat it up that high with your toaster oven. You can keep it around 200, and it's going to let those air bubbles rise out of there. They're going to pop, then you pull it out, let it cool. If you're really in a rush, pull it out, set it in a freezer, maybe set it on some snow outside, let that cool, and then you can literally just wiggle it. It pops right out of the mold, and then you wind up with a piece. Now, I found with the hot glue is sometimes you'll still get air bubbles in the bottom. Wait, Dom, are you asking me to make videos of slow pumps, or are you asking me to make casting videos, or both? Casting couch? Anyway, but you wind up with these really great pieces, and sometimes, like I said, when you're using the glue, it will like pit and leave little dings and marks, but that's awesome too, especially if you weather it up, because it looks like real utilized metal that's been pitted and out for exposure. So I would take something like this, and you can do it one of several ways. I don't recommend hot glue as an adhesive, just because hot glue will tend to let go over time from plastic. But when it comes to a situation like this, what you can do is you can use either super glue, really you could use super glue, but you're going to have to scuff this up. Like I said, super glue and a little baking soda. The sodium bicarbonate reacts with the super glue and it causes it to harden rapidly. And then that's one way. If you're more of a mechanical fastener and you really want to have that like grab, get a short screw, punch out a hole first, punch out your hole, drill a little bit of a hole in here, put that screw in there, tighten it down, and that bad boy is going to sit just like that on like a layer cake, almost like a proud paste. We'll call it a pasty, but it'll sit there and that'll be on there. And then you've got this neat greebly that can go on the wall, or you can just always use the greeblies as they are and attach them to the wall. So that's another option that we have. And like I said, there's a whole variety of different shapes. We've got, I showed you the button one. That's a favorite of mine. The gear, rotating gear. We have the giant screw. the button gear-ish knob, you know, literally a gear with a circle in the middle missing, so you can put other Greeblies in there, maybe hook a hose if you have a big hose. This one is a favorite that I use on a lot of cosplay, and it's a grate and then a smaller grate. Now, the great thing about that mold is if you're careful with your resin or your hot glue, you can just pour it, because you have to imagine this is the positive from the negative of the mold. Just fill in that little bottom spot and fill in this little bottom spot, let it cool, and then you can pop out and have that separate grill and that little grill as well, and use those as different Greeblies, or pop out the entire thing. So that's there. Tank, you're plenty early, my friend. This is going to be a pretty decent stream, so I'm glad you could stop in. I'm going to be making some how-to videos. It's just a matter of certain ones cost a little bit more. I'm out of resin. Resin kits, the ones that I like to use, around $30. So if I'm going to be doing some resin casting, I got to account for that. The hot glue one I can certainly do, though. I have a very large stock of hot glue because I was given some as a gift. I will always say, if you're an artist or you have friends who are artists and you're looking for gift ideas, ask for consumables. They're one of those things for artists, craft makers, people that build things that are like kind of not thought of, right? You know, you use your glue, use super glue, paint brushes, chip brushes if you use like resin and it's disposable. So consider those things. Now, Miss Snowflake is crying at the door to get let in after she begged me to go right before the show started. So I'm going to let her in. So give me just 2 minutes, and I do appreciate you guys turning up. It's okay now. I'm just getting the cat. Come on. Come on, Miss Snowflake. Come on. There you go. Hello. All right. You must have heard that I was in here doing something, huh? There she goes. There you go. Absolutely. The molds are cool. Also, if you're doing fantasy, like if you're doing something more Lord of the Rings, or maybe like Eddie does with Edelheim, they have filigree ones that are molds, and you do the same principle, the same process, and you can use those pieces of decorative filigree. Really great for home crafts. Like, there's a million ways to do it, but we'll go through the rest of them real quick. We've already seen those, the triangles too. They have these really neat triangles that can be used for Greeblies or thrown on the table like that. And we'll keep one of the black ones out. We'll use that. And we'll go from there. But those are just some of the. That's my little Greebly tip. My hot tip for this one. Hey, have a good night, Tank. Thanks for stopping in, man. Be well. Nice, man. That's the thing, is it's like you're an artist and you want to have consumables. Consumables cost a little bit of money, but they're things that we use. They are photobombing hard. I kind of left the camera pointed towards them because they look so cute. So, and I do these, I make these anytime I have extra resin left over from a project, is I'll pour them right into the mold and just let them cure up out of the way and then use them. I have them, I pop them out of the mold, clean the mold, put the mold away, and I have a block full of Greeblies. Snowflake hears the rattling box and thinks it's like toys or something. It is not, ma'am. This is space stuff. And then in my other Greebly box, I have magnets, beads, reflectors, bike reflectors, all kinds of different things. Wood beads are good for world building. Yeah, they're good dogs. They're getting their sleepy times in right now. But we've got those for Greeblies to use if we decide to a little bit later. And I just keep those halfway organized. Eventually, I'd like to get into a bigger cardboard box. You all right, Josh? You good? Wenzilla Reboot, everybody. Be sure to tune into the Wenzilla Reboot and Rad Toys channel, either or, on Mondays for the Toy Crew. Oh, sorry, Snowflake. Just ran into my foot. So I've been saying, save the out pieces from Jason Jensen models. I've got one here primed. This is from one of them. And I say primed, I just gave it a quick painting with black paint so everything sticks to it nicely. That's another Greebly to have, especially if you build model kits. You can save pieces of sprues. Is it the big one? Or which one is that, Liam? Toy Squad. What am I saying? Toy Crew. I'm sorry. I was thinking of KREW, Toy Squad. Old Famine. He throws a couple of bottles back now and again. But not today. Another piece of a resin cast accessory. I think this was one from Diorama Accessories. Just utilizing this. Be a great Greebly on the side of a building or on the wall. You could take that's what we'll do is we'll take a pin vise and we'll bore out. There's a little indent there. We'll bore out a hole and we'll run a wire to it and run it right up to something. It's a great way to add world building. What does this thing do? I don't know. Science, I'm not an electric scientist in the future, but it's a toy. It's for world building. Yeah. See, that one didn't entice me at all. I saw them at Walmart. They were on clearance first. They were on clearance for 20, which isn't clearance. Then it went down to 10. Just wasn't really my jam. But thank you. And then I've got this that I want to repurpose entirely. This was a door that I made out of a business card holder, right? So this would sit on your desk. Your business cards would be in there. Someone could take a business card. I turned it into a doorway, a door frame. It's got a nice overhang, keep the weather off. I'll keep the door the same, I think. And, keep the wires. But I want to change up the sides, maybe add some, abrasions here. Change it up, make it look like it actually does something. The top's got paneling on it, some cable hider, EVA foam. No, that's card stock to hold that down. Resin cast Greebly. I went a little ham on that. This power cable here is actually a hair tie, an elastic hair tie that works really well from 1/18 scale. So that'll get redone too. So I figure we could utilize some of that stuff today, talk customs, and we can talk about how introducing pieces like this to your world can help increase the lore, can help world build as well. When I look at something like something as simple as this thing from the beer, I'll take it home, I'll look at things, I'll go online, I'll open a book. I have a pretty decent library of art books, concept art books, video game concept art, movies, Star Wars, Blade Runner, Jurassic Park, a lot of the franchises we love. And what I do is I'll just thumb through there and I'll look at the background of pictures, I look at the backgrounds of sci-fi, and I find that this this is like this could be something in the background. It doesn't need to be super important and in your face. You don't need to tell what it is, but it can just be something that's utilized to make really cool stuff. Hey, Snowflake. She's discovered something and she's playing with it. And we are working on the cat cam. For those that asked, that were wanting to send in, Ko-Fis or donate, or whatever for the cats and the dogs for treats, we are working on getting set up with a pet cam. Again, that's one of those things I just have to account for. And when the opportunity presents itself to pick up a webcam or get something set up for that, absolutely will. Speaking of that, if you do want to contribute, ko-fi.com/Famine Studios. There's a Ko-Fi there. You can donate enough for a coffee, 2 coffees, several coffees. And it helps support the channel, does keep me moving, keeps me motivated, and I get excited when I see that. And like I said, we get that cat cam set up. We'll be doing something for, donations for little treats for these guys, because they are good little emotional support critters in there helping the channel out. So, I think tonight we'll get started by me moving this stuff out of my way first. And I'll show you a couple other things before I really get into the painting and weathering. because I do have some other stuff up here that I realize can be contributors to world building and can contribute to show, things in your world, right? Like I had this you guys said it was a futuristic phone booth or whatever. Um, I did graffiti on the outside of it. I used, stickers and decals and like made it look kind of lived in. But, the purple just wasn't doing it for me. A little too neon for what I'm trying to do. So that's going to change. But I went out of my way to show like people are posting flyers. Maybe this is a spot where people hang out and they, live out of the way. They stay out of the way and they marker or spray paint or whatever it is. And then just little details and stuff like that. That's a piece of card, cereal box card that I just soaked with glue so it was malleable. And I put a drop of super glue, pressed it down, put a drop of super glue, pressed it down, and then went all the way over. And then when that PVA glue hardened up and that super glue hardened, that stuff was rock hard. And then I just added those little tiny beads for rivets. That is a twisted wire. I just threw a piece of wire into a screw gun, a drill, held the other end with pliers, and gently ran it until it braided up the cable like I wanted it. And that takes paint as well. So just little ways to do that. But yeah, like, you see in an alley, sometimes they're next to a dumpster where it's out of the way, and then you just look and that whole side is decorated with graffiti. Same concept. But circling around, here's some more stuff that could be used for world building. I cobbled these stairs off of something, and I was like, all right, cool, I've got these stairs. So I made a bottom base for it, and I glued something on for the top base for it. And then I was like, all right, well, this side is nice and closed, so we could probably decorate that or maybe run a hose down or cable something. This side was open, so all I did was grab a piece of thin craft hobby wood. You can get packages of it. Michael's, Joann's, hardware stores sell little sheets of it. I don't use balsa for this because balsa is a little more expensive. This stuff is cheaper. It packed for like $2. And I just laid it down there, traced the outline, cut it, sanded it with a nail file until it matched the radius. And then I painted it up to match the entire thing. So I now have a set of like ladder steps that I can apply. So, I could set it there. It's a modular piece, but now I've got a set of stairs, so I could have a guy working up here and indicate or imply that he's working on this cable, which gives it some importance, which gives you another thing to look at that you maybe wouldn't have noticed that there's this cable running up here, things like that. These are your classic tried and true mini Jenga blocks. I've been working on some stairs, but these ones are made up to look like stone. I've been working on a texture paint recipe. I don't want to call it a texture paste recipe because it's not. I wanted to use this stuff as a primer, but leave everything with enough texture so that you didn't need to slop texture paste on afterwards. You didn't need to mix up anything after that. You could just dry brush or paint. I'll be doing a video on that, but using these as stairs. And like I got to get to the back here, but $1.25 at the Dollar Tree for a solid Jenga game, except they're mini. Pick those up. And again, because I'm adding these like temple-esque fortress details to it, having stone stairs works, and it's great for the scale. So that's another thing that we could utilize. This is a piece off of a dishwasher. One of those like top racks. You could put spoons and stuff on the top. I don't know why you would do that. But it reminded me a lot of actually the supports inside of an aircraft wing. Those wings aren't hollow, but they're not solid either. They have bracing crisscross all the way along them, which supports the skin, right? So I've got this. I'm thinking of making it like an arbor as a overhang for a business or whatever. I can drape some fabric over top of it and make it, have a couple of tears so the light still gets through. And then any pictures you take from underneath, you're going to see this grating, be weathered up, silver, a little rusty, maybe a little dirty, and then have that fabric on the underside too. But then anything from the top, you see this covered up with this fabric, looks like an awning. I thought that would be a cool idea. So I went ahead and started painting that black just to make it easier to dry brush and then get, keep moving on it. So Another simple, odd little piece. And if you guys remember, I get these boxes. They're hinged jewelry boxes from Michaels. They're usually $10. I wait until I have like a 60% off coupon, and then I get a few of them. So I only pay like $3 or $4 each for them. And then I just take the hinges off, and I have two pieces, right? The other one's a little smaller, but I've got this one. I'm going to use this as a guard tower. I'm going to be putting stuff on the outside. It's got rivets that are on there. I like that. That adds a little character. But I'm going to be utilizing this as a base, and it's going to be mounted somewhere like this. It's going to have troopers or people with binoculars or whatever looking out of it. Different way to use it instead of just as a this way door. Could be a platform as well. But for this case, I'm going to go ahead and use this as a shooting tower, watchtower, guard tower. And again, we talk about trash bashing. Business cards are also how many times have you gone to a con or a toy show, get somebody's business card, you go to their social media, you add them, and you're stuck with this card. You might throw it out, save it, and use the actual card for material for world building. Those cards, they hold up, they're rigid enough. You can use them as panels, trim the edges. It's an option. Milk crates in half to make ship hangers. Yeah, there you go. That's a great idea. It's one of those easy things. You're reusing something that already exists. You don't have to go spend too much money on it. I mean, they leave those milk crates outside of the stores. I don't know why people pay for them. I don't recommend that, but yeah. I lost my oh, right. So speaking of trash bashing, we talked a little bit about that. One of the live streams recently, I had worked on this. There was a lot of trash bashing here. An old straw from a novelty drink cup, wires that I wasn't using anymore, wooden dowels from like a collection of wooden dowels that had different sizes, things like that. And, the Jenga blocks. And it's it could be a walkway, or I'm using this as a parking spot for speeder bikes, but could be a walkway if I wanted to make this into a bridge instead. And I just attached a piece of HO scale girder, and that's on there. So there's a litany of things that you could do. Round beads, just glued those, sanded them down a little bit flush, stuck them on there. Knobs, I think they were actually from drawer pulls. Trash. Most of it was trash. The only thing that was like new was the girder, and I've had that piece of girder for ages. So it just happened to work out that I was able to use it. And there you go, Bjorn. That sounds to me like you've got a lot of materials to make pieces for customs, dioramas, etc. So I guess what I'll do is I'll get this camera tilted down towards my desk. So I'll just move this back. Oh, we got puppies being cute. Oh, and Mr. Stark is facing that way. Hi, Mama Rosie. Mr. Cowman. Yeah, get all snuggly, sweetie. Ridiculous. Yes, what I like to do is I like to, when I can, if I see like somebody selling a baggie of the non-generic, or of the generic non-Lego brand building blocks, I grab those because they don't have the little writing on the pegs, and that's really helpful. And sometimes I'll flip them around and use the backs instead, so you have the deeper spaces with the holes. Great place to plug hoses, or use angled sprues to make pipes coming out of stuff. Opportunities there. Right, so we'll tilt this down. We'll do a little bit of talking, a little bit of work. You guys are going to get a good portion of my lap today, and that's fine. Some people pay extra for that. So I think I'll get cracking on this guy here. We're going to put some black paint on there just to let this dry quickly. We just want to prime we'll use the Black Magic solution right here. I don't know if you guys follow Black Magic Crafts, but he came up with this fantastic mix to protect foam. It was usually used to protect like blue and pink insulation foam for tabletop gaming, because that stuff gets banged around with the miniatures on it and all that. I've used Mod Podge as a protectant for cosplay stuff, so I've always had it on hand. Adding the acrylic paint to it helps with the durability, creates a great base layer, and also seals foam, seals EVA foam. So especially if you're going to spray paint, use this stuff. So we're not going to spray paint today, but we are going to be doing some painting. So I want to get that on there. I would like to, take care of this, what we've got here. Get a brush. We'll just get this open. And it is, and it just looks like black. And it's, Black Magic Craft is where it came from. I don't want to take credit for it. It's not my recipe or anything, but it does the job. So instead of using a flame today, we'll use this as the other option. And as you guys can see, I'm just putting a thin coat all the way around it. We'll get up here on the lip too. We're just being gentle as we put it on. Don't need to be heavy-handed. And you can just spread this real thin, because at the end of the day, it is just a protective coating / undercoat. Really, it's a prime layer. Your heavy work is going to be done by the paint when this is dried and you start putting actual paint on it. Yes, Miss Snowflake. Well, come here, ma'am. Come along. She wants to say hello. Come here. Hi, baby. You want to say hi to everybody? Yeah. She's a good cat. She's just puttering around my feet. She'll decide. You gonna come up? Well, come on. Nope, you just want to rub against that leg instead. Here. Want to say hi? Oh, careful of paint. She always wants to see what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm painting. Nothing up here for you. Say hello to everyone. All right, go play. Love you. Bjorn, you could probably utilize this on flex hoses. I would just be careful. Because those flex hoses, unless you like really sand them, they are that kind of shiny, scratchy, junk plastic. And you want to make sure that whatever you paint them with adheres well to it. And just straight up even spray paint or acrylic spray paint doesn't hold on those too well because that plastic is shiny. So what I would recommend is maybe Plasti Dip, because that stuff's meant to have a little bit of give and a little bit of bend, but also maintain its integrity. And then you could paint it and have a lot better adhesion, a lot more tooth there. Or spray bed liner. That's also another thing. That's a little overkill, I think, but your mileage may vary. I don't know how rough you are with your toys, so that could get you pretty far. So we're going to let that dry right over here. Like I said, we just want that to be able to dry up so we can paint those rivets and then attach it to something. I'll put this black craft stuff away, the black magic sauce. But yeah, 3/4 Mod Podge, 1/4 of black paint. Yeah, I mean, you can use whatever color acrylic paint you want, but it should be acrylic. I don't know how enamel enacts with Mod Podge, but probably not great. And then you just stir and shake the ever-loving out of it. And I tend to shake my paints up and things like that before I put them away. Helps keep them from settling too much. Right, so we could We could do a little sanding right now, but since we're painting on some things, I don't want to sand much. I just want to get some paint on things, get them primed to get them ready. So we'll set this aside. We might throw this on the table. We might not even get to this tonight, but opportunity's there. So let's see. All right, here we go. We'll take one of these bad boys right here. We'll take this Greebly. Like I said, first we'll do a little bit of drilling with the pin vise. Pin vise is a fantastic tool to have. I highly recommend every hobbyist have one. Even if you just customize action figures, you're not even doing dioramas or world building. Essentially, it is a drill, but it is handheld and hand powered. This piece rotates freely, so you can, hold it with your thumb, turn it, use it like that, put it against your palm and turn it, and you have a lot more control with this. And they usually come with a set of bits, pretty standard size. I'm going to go ahead and start with a smaller bit. I'm not going to tell you the bit size because I don't know off the top of my head. It's been years since I've had all these memorized. Back when I used to work in aerospace, I could probably have told you how big this was, but now I can't. So, like I said, I was looking at this and there's this little dimple there, right there on the piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, line it right up with that hole, and just start a gentle turning screw. And you'll see as the pieces of material start to remove themselves, the pieces of resin start to come out. And I'll go, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch in. Maybe I'll go a full 1/8 of an inch in. I've got those pieces that fall out, and sometimes I just back it up a little bit, knock those pieces loose, keep going in, get a little more of that material out. We'll call it that, right? So we've got that out of the way. Now I'm going to switch to the biggest bit that I have here because I want a little bit of room for both adhesive and, we'll say a hose or a wire or whatever to go. Yeah, Bjorn. Pin vices are really, really handy to have. And you see how easy that is to just swap it out, swap a bit, tighten it back up. And then you use your pilot hole, which we just opened up. You can see it right there. Just line that up with the opening. Walk it right in. And it's that easy. And I'm just not pressing too hard, just lightly turning it. Like I said, sometimes I back it out. And we've got that right there. I'm not even going to bother to sand that lip down or anything because it'll probably be hidden with adhesive and whatever wire I put in. But now we'll paint this black as primer. The backs I already kind of cheated and did a little bit of sanding to make that easy to tack onto the wall when we get the opportunity to do so, right? So it's just using this brush with the black magic stuff. Doesn't hurt, but we'll go ahead and use some acrylic here. Folk Art Matte Licorice Paint. Shake it up. Good to have. Not using my normal palette. I'm using a paper towel just because I didn't plan accordingly. But you literally can use most things as a palette as long as it's washable. So I like to make sure I get in all the recesses. Tack this paint right on here. And the brush is still wet, so some of that water is mixing in with the paint and pulling away because this is a really smooth print. We'll get it all in there. Take care of it. Anywhere there's a deep recess, I really just push the brush in, make sure that paint gets down in there, because when you start doing dry brushing, or even if you're just painting, it's basically instant value to have darker shadows and valleys, because anything you do over it, will stand out even more with those shadows there. And I learned that in, prop making. When you have recesses, you can detail your panel lines and then do all your painting over top, and you're still going to have that nice, natural shadow effect. Looks almost like somebody airbrushed in those depths. It's a great way. Very little effort other than just putting your brush down in there and making sure that you get in the space with a lot of value to your final product. This is true. I've seen some cats that do miniatures that use their thumbnails and use their hands. Um, I don't often do that, like if at all. I try not to get paint. I mean, my hands always wind up looking like I dip my fist in the paint bucket, but I try not to. But don't go out of my way to get paint on my hands. So I'm just going in here. And again, getting in all those recesses. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing as I'm working that in there. And you'll see me, I approach it from like several different angles just to make sure that that paint really gets layered in, gets deep down inside. There we go, there we go. We'll let that dry and then we'll go back over it and I guess we can hit the edges right now, but we'll let this dry and then we'll go back over it with one more pass because this was really just an effort to make sure that I got paint in all the recesses and the cracks that are there so that when we do dry brushing, when we start picking out highlights and things like that, those deep, deep recesses stay black. So we'll set that aside and let that cure up there. Now, I know I just said I didn't want to do sanding, but I feel I need to show you guys sanding for this. Yeah, we're gonna have to do it. So I'll just move this. We'll put this away. We're working. We here at Famine Studios, by we I mean me, are working at putting our tools away when we're done using them, so we know where to find them when we want to reach for them again. So sorry for the shaky camera. Blair Witch Project effect for you guys. So go ahead, put the paint up and out of the way, and then we're just going to take. We can do this several ways. We could do my old friend Scotch-Brite, but we could also do it as a just a regular nail file, right? So you see how shiny and glossy that is, right? Really perfect and beautiful. And we'll just take the roughest part of the sanding stick, nail file, if you're not afraid to call it that, and we'll just start to take that shine off, right? Go up and down, back and forth, and you can already see the difference in the glossiness here versus here. More matte, more glossy. So same principle there. You just take that sanding stick, chase that edge, go all the way around a couple of times, couple of different ways, because you want that crisscross pattern. Really helps the paint bite into this stuff and helps take down the shine. And then if you really want to get super, technical and high detail about it, take your sanding stick like this, hold it at a little bit of a bend. You see my thumb is out of the way, and I can drop it here, and then I can just rotate this in this hand while I move this hand, and I'm just sanding that lip to make sure that we get good adhesion there too. So now that's all hit, right? So now we've got these pieces here and this ring. So we'll do that. We'll just, same principle, hit that there. Those ones you can't really go in several directions, so you kind of got to take what you can get, add the texture there. I don't think we'll be gluing anything in that spot, so it's not really an issue. But we'll go like that. Keep rotating it. Get it with that old, the old sanding stick, the old nail file. Give it the Manicure 5000. Now, like I was saying, if you really want to push it, you want to push your luck, maybe you're worried you might see some scratches and some of that close-up toy photography, right? Turn it over the finer side, and you could just go over everything, kind of give it a final closer to a polish than anything, but it still maintains your, your cross hatches, your cross marks, and everything that you did. And then for the area that's going to adhere to anything, I mean, this isn't going to get adhered to anything, but I will put some black paint in there just so if something happens to be at eye level, nothing sees the white inside. So I'll just use that really quick. Go over there. Doesn't need to be perfect so much as the outside needs to be a lot nicer. Go right over that. And it is a slick plastic, like I said. So adding this tooth really does help. Letting this paint is going to have some purchase. We'll get the inside bottom too. And then the lip that's going to be in contact with stuff for adhesion. Well, we'll just throw that anywhere, won't we? I'll just go like that. Just to help that super glue that we'll probably use, or tacky glue, once I pick it up off the floor. Really stick on there. And I'm wondering how fancy we want to get with this. How do you guys feel like maybe we got a little bit of time here? We can use some cardstock and back this thing. I think that'd be fun, right? I will not start over. You can watch the replay. Good to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, we can certainly back this if you guys are down, or we could add detail to this. We've got some EVA foam. I'm kind of feeling like we detail this a little bit. We got some EVA foam. We got a razor knife right here. We got some super glue. If you guys are down, we'll do that. I mean, it is my show, so I could be all omnipotent and be like, "Wow, we're going to do it this way." But I like these streams. They feel community centered and incorporating each other into the builds. And we'll use some of this Bondi box here. There we go. Since nobody's answering in the chat, I'm going to make an executive decision and say that's what we're going to do. So first thing we could do is we can make a base for this. So I think we'll do... I don't know that it needs a base, guys. Stick with the outside first. So this thing seems to kind of want to be symmetrical just based on the visual of the design, right? You've got your 4, and then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, the little lips gets 4, so we'll do everything in 4s except for the centerpiece, okay? So we've got this piece of EVA foam here. I'm not even going to use a ruler. I'm just going to cut, try and duplicate that cut each time. Does not need to be perfect. We'll cut a bunch of them. We'll get crazy with this one just to show what you can do with literally like scraps of garbage. We'll use some of the cardboard. This EVA foam is so cheap. You could probably get it from like nieces and nephews. They have arts and crafts supplies left over from a project. Ask their mom, hey, save me some of the scraps. And you can go right from there. So, yeah, let's start. We'll do big one. This will be our mark here. We'll drag a little super glue down and make sure I get that angle as well. We'll take this piece here. We're not even going to sand this because it's gonna get stacked on. But we'll put that right there. And then you'll see here, I'm going to push this into the radius and let that grab. Now it's down in that radius, and we'll do the same thing here. Push into the radius, let it grab. And then I've got that a little bit there. So I'll just take the X-Acto knife, cut it off. Well, Now we've got a bent piece of angle. Maybe it's a weld or an attachment of some sort. And we'll go like this. Again, just pressing that down. And we're going to repeat that process 3 more times. Grandkids come to me with scraps when they have school projects, so they know who's got all the stuff. Oh, and the know-how. Yeah, there you go. I used to like doing the shoebox dioramas in school for book reports. Our teacher was like, "Oh, you get to choose what kind of project you want to do. If you want to do the diorama, or you want to diorama." They're like, "Okay, you got to get a shoebox." Well, we don't have the money for shoes, but we'll find a shoebox. And damn it, I always manage to find one. All right, so that's on there now. That's number 2. Like I said, just cut that. Take that right off. Does not need to be perfect. I'll actually go through and tack those down with a little bit more glue. On to the next one. Do not jump away. There we go. Nice. My favorite was the Lion King, because I was the nerd that read like the books that movies had made, the official adaptation. So I did the elephant graveyard scene with Simba riding down a elephant, and I remember I made the spine out of a toilet paper roll that I painted white, or the rib cage, excuse me, not the spine. That was my little crowning achievement. Probably should have known that I'd be doing stuff like this as an adult, but what are you going to do? Have fun is what we're going to do. Go. Press that down. So like that already, looks like it's an improvement. We can put, let's see, we can go make a few of these little guys here. So we'll cut a couple more. We'll use these little squares, right? So we'll go dot right there. Just place that on there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Perfect is the enemy of finished, guys. Remember that. If you spend so much time trying to make every little detail perfect, you'll never get anything done. Going right here. Last drop. Oh, that's got glue on it. I caught it in the light. There we go. So that's starting to look even cooler. Let's take care of this because this will bug me. Just making sure those are adhered. Obi-Wan is Lincoln. Lincoln Memorial. Tarkin with the Sculpey beard. Nice. Okay. So now how are we going to beef this up some more? Like we want to add a little more flavor to it, a little more something here. Let's see. Let's see. We could do. Yeah, I'm thinking. Let's keep these scraps of foam right here, right at our fingertips, because we're going to be using those in a minute. We don't want to go too far, but we've got this card stock, like I was talking about. So let's cut a strip of that. All right. So we got a couple of straps of that, about the same size. Now, here's the fun thing about this. Most of the time, these both have one of these has a shiny side to it. So what you can do is, again, take your nail file. I actually have some thinner pieces of nail file for something I was working on earlier. I literally just cut it with a blade down the middle, so I had a thinner sanding stick, which actually is about the same width as this. And then you just give that a little quick scuff up. So that's got teeth to grab. That's very cool. That's a great idea. If you do that, tag me over on Instagram. That's really cool. A really cool idea. So I was thinking about doing like another X of material here in the middle, but thinking we could do maybe just a small piece. Yeah, let's try that. So the first thing I'll do is I'll neaten that end up. We'll take a little super glue. All right, that's on there now, right? Like that's how quickly that super glue bites into that sanded down. Anthony, how's it going? And then we'll just use the blade. Just put enough weight on there to score that through. Give it a little wiggle. All right, we need one more pass, I think, here. Look at that. And it's just a stupid little detail, but it's going to add so much value to this when we're done. You know, when this is primed and you guys see through the gray primer how that all stands out and pops against this, so little effort, so little money. Like you don't even need to, if you're, I know some people are really like minimalists. They bring their own packages to the store. They don't get things with like boxes and stuff. You don't even have to get, boxes. You can use the card back from your figures. You could go to the store if you're just using this stuff for model building and, ask for an empty cardboard container or something that they're going to throw away and get this cardboard. Ask a family member that, eats a lot of cereal. Save me the empty box from those Cheerios. Yeah, no problem. Nice. Thanks for coming in. Make sure you hit that like, my friend, please. It does help. And, ask for a Cheerios box. There's so much material in a Cheerios box. I actually use a Cheerios box to hold all my plastic sheets, or paper sheets, I should say. So keep that in mind. Again, we're just finishing this up here with the fourth piece. A little bit more, another pass here. Okay. So now we've got even more details on there. But I am a bit of a maniac. I do want to take this further, right? So let's get one of these Greebly bins out again. Sorry, we don't need that. Not this one. Well, actually, there's something in here we could use. Let's see. So we've got some, yeah, you guys can see this, perfect. Got this piece right here. I've been saving it for ages. We're going to use that. Okay. I guess I don't need to, well, I still do need that other. Yeah. Did I put those? Oh, those foam rivets. We'll add some circular details after we get this guy prepped up. I don't know what the hell this was from. It was just a piece of something I found, and I was like, hey, I like you. I'm going to keep you. And then one day I'm going to stick you to something. This does have texture on the outside. I don't know if that's going to show up with my witch hands here from all the super glue. But the only thing that doesn't is that ringlet right there. So I'm just going to take, again, I'll take a piece of that sanding stick that I made and just scuff that up a little bit there. Take the gloss off of it. And then I guess we'll go, the bottom has a bit of a shine to it as well. So we'll just hit that for adhesion purposes. It might not even adhere all the way. So we'll be using that ring. Okay. And we'll put that right there. We'll hide that comment. Christopher George style. Did here. Bro, that's what I'm saying. Thing's massive. Put the glue on this ring. And then we'll line it right up with that center circle. Just drop it in there. It's going to adhere. And I'm just holding it from both sides. Let that super glue do its job. If it wants to do its job. Doesn't. This foam is actually... We're going to do a little plastic surgery right here. No pun intended. This little piece of foam's got to go. Get out of here. Little foam. Right? So that's causing an issue. Let's see if that'll seat in there now. We can always cheat this. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to maybe trim all of them. Which is fine. I just should have done this first, but this is trash bashing and kit bashing. That's what it's all about, is like finding things that fit, and when they don't, you make them fit. A little bit more clearance all the way around, all four directions. So I'll just cut that there. Get that guy out of here. Get out of here, little piece. And for those of you wondering if my beard is actually this white in person or if it's just the camera and the lighting, no, it is. It is that white in person. Santa Claus, be on the lookout. I am on the naughty list. Tried to run away. Go. There we are. Just clear that out. There we are. That's on there now. That bitch ain't going nowheres. So we put that piece on. Again, this is just building this thing up, making it pop. And then we've got some options here. We have the 2mm foam ones, and then we have some of the card ones, which are thinner. I think I want to put some of the foam ones there and use the thinner ones in a different area, so that there's a difference in scale. Not scale, but a difference in like material thickness. So we'll just put some of those there for the time being, and we'll start putting drops where we want to add rivets. Thinking here and here, and there's a piece of hair on there, but that's okay because I don't care that much. And that's what I'm going to do all the way around. And this is just adding layers, adding visual interest. It's cheap, it's free, it's a way to kill time, you know, especially if you're waiting on like paint to dry or you're waiting on another project to finish. You got something 3D printing and you've got like an hour before it's done, but you really want to get started on something. Stuff like this, boost up these greeblies. Why, like my brain's starting to go, why is this one, have all this extra detail on it? Is this a special piece? Does this connect to something unique? We don't know. I don't know right now, but I'm going to build a story for it and add it to my lore. There we go. Okay. That's just starting to like stack up, and I really like that. Tempted to leave that unmolested, but I feel like I gotta change. I feel like I gotta put a. That could be the last piece I'll put in. We'll consider that. So where are we gonna put the paper ones? Well, let's see here. Let's see how they sit on this phone. See how they look. I don't like that. That's a no to the paper ones for this. I mean, I could. All right, so we've used a lot of these rivets, which is good. Again, use scraps and just hole punched. Regular hole puncher. Put that everywhere. We could fish through the plastics bits I've got here. I don't know that I want to do that, especially since we're trying to use primarily trash. What are you guys doing? Where are you guys going? Dogs are just hopping down like they got business to take care of elsewhere. You have no chores and no responsibilities. Where do you think you're going? There we go. Corrugated plastic. I might just paint that up and use it as a wall hanging. Actually, I know specifically what I'm going to use that for. All right. I'll just set that aside after I trim this piece off. Cool. Got some styrene card here. What do you think, guys? What do we want to add to this? Does it need anything added to it? Sir, it's not dinner time yet. Come lay down. Ma'am. Got me on a dinosaur kick using dollar store clothes, Magnum PI style. Nice. Everyone loves a dinosaur in a Hawaiian shirt. Come here, Stark. Come say hello. Come on. Come on, buddy. Watch your head. Oh, okay. All right. Here. We'll tilt the camera so your face is in the shot. Don't fall. Say hello. What did I say about falling? I told you not to. Hi, buddies. Was you feeling left out over there? Were you feeling left out? You wanted some attention? Yeah, you got some attention now. This is Stark. He's being very handsome, very lovey today. He's a good boy. Hi, Mr. Stark. Okay. Ready, buddy? Put you over there. Here, you can have him back. Ooh, there you go. His brother was very mad that he was over here. So I've got this styrene card. I feel like it's just missing one thing. It's like missing something. I know. So we'll still seal this with Mod Podge. It's been a minute since I've done this without using fire, but I will not be spray sealing this. I'm going to use Mod Podge. I could use fire, but again, I'm trying to not use fire on the channel, just so if anybody who comes across this that's maybe not versed in this type of stuff, they don't make a poor decision or not understand the process and, cause a FIRE by doing something that they saw on my channel. What's that? Famine's being responsible-ish? Yeah, it happens. And you guys have seen this before. It's just a styrene tube. I'm using it to press rivets into the foam. And then the black paint will sit in the recesses. We'll be able to dry brush and hit it. But I just wanted to give it a little more. Give it a little more something visual. No cost. Just adding detail. You put those on there, and then we'll also add them right here too, so it looks like these are bolted on straps or riveted on here. And this is straight up like a zero cost way to add value to something, especially something made out of foam. So now that we've got that done, we're going to use the black magic stuff. Like I said, the sauce. Get that super glue cap that I dropped on the floor, because you can't have these little critters running around, especially ones named COWMAN that likes to put things in his mouth all the time. So, but I could, if I was going to spray seal it, I would plasti dip it because of the foam. But again, we're just going to use our dear friend here, this black magic acrylic. Get a little on the brush. Get a little more on the brush. There we go. We're just going to give this a nice bath. And also this Mod Podge mixture is going to soak into that cardboard that we put on there, the cardstock. And that's going to help it harden up and stay really rigid and really firm when we're painting, dry brushing this. So, added bonus. Plus the super glue that's soaked in the bottom too is really helping make it rigid. Teehee. That means two things. And I'm just making sure I get it down in the recesses, like I said, where those rivets that I put in there, or rivets in quotes, with that tube. I'll show that on camera. And that's how I get it. I just press the brush against it, give it a swirl, and get it down in there. And then I just move along painting like I normally would. But I come across it, I just get it in there, make sure it's down in there. Because you want the best coverage, you want this sealed up nicely. And you got to do that. Got to get it in there. Yep. I'm just saying, Bjorn, if you do choose to use a flame or a heat gun or whatever, just be careful, because EVA foam is thin, it's flammable. All you're trying to do is seal the cells on the foam so that it's no longer absorbing whatever sealant you're going to put, or whatever paint you're going to put on there. But this is two birds, one stone, because if it absorbs the glue from this, that's actually a good thing, because it helps with the the overall adhesion, helps it be durable. And it also primes the base. And we'll make sure we do the interior with just regular black acrylic paint as well, because no one's going to see the inside, but we do want to make it dark. So in case the camera's at eye height or something and the light shines through, nothing's showing. Alternatively, if you really wanted to get creative, I don't, but if you wanted to, you could put some type of LED in here, even maybe a tea light if you figured out how to arrange that. Put foil tape or silver paint around the inside so when it lights up, it has something to reflect off of. Really will illuminate out of those openings on there. I'm not going to do that now, but that's a free idea for you. Just make sure you tell them, Uncle Famine taught you how to do that. What you doing, buddy? He was just over there flopping around like a trout. And as soon as he heard me move this thing, he stopped. I wasn't doing anything funny. Huh, Mr. Stark? I guess what they say is true. Anything can be a dildo if you're brave enough. And some of these spots will dry transparent just because there's a lot of Mod Podge in this mixture. Um, so the pigment might not necessarily take, but you'll see that coating on there. But see how it's covering up? Just get down there. You missed a couple of things, yeah. Um, People are rearranging their guts or something like that. I don't know. It's getting pretty wild in here, pretty spicy. Rad said something about my giant dick. I don't. I just work here. I'll put that up there to dry as well. For now. So that was again like a zero sum improvement. I had scraps of foam. You might not have scraps of foam, but it's so easy to get. It's so inexpensive. And then we just used pieces of a cardboard box, a little bit of super glue, and just applying these things to that added value to that piece of thing that would otherwise be a recyclable at best or in the trash at worst in a landfill somewhere. So let's finish putting a last coat of black on here as a primer. This time I'll use a little bit of my nicer hobby paint because it tends to dry pretty quick. And I don't mind using the Army War Paints black as a primer on things, especially if it's a small detail piece that's going to pop. OnlyFams. Man, what is with the putting gimmick back together, brother? There was a terrible tragedy. Did you not see the kaiju attack? Can't just bounce back from that overnight. Bjorn is working on his avatar. Yeah, right. So that's this is actually part of that is getting these new detail pieces. It's not a matter of like putting everything back together the way it was. I want it to be different, and so I'm kind of repurposing some pieces and rethinking the way I have some of the layout to really improve it and make it more in line with the vision that I have in my head instead of trying to keep up with the Joneses and make everything look like Empire Toy Works. While I appreciate the work that Chris does, that's his own thing, and I want it to be his own thing. I want Gimmick to be a place that people go, oh, that's definitely Famine stuff, right? Because I, at least for me, scrolling through, I'd see all these posts, and damn, a lot of them look like the same person was making them. And then I realized that people are really trying to follow that certain particular style. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started looking at my stuff and went, wait a minute, I'm kind of following that style too because everybody else is. And I don't need to do that. I can do my own thing. If you guys want to do that and make your stuff look like, Chris's Empire Toy Works stuff, feel free. By all means, man. Have at it. But not old famine here. So I'm just making improvements and doing things bit by bit here while I teach other people how to do it, show them how I do it. Might not necessarily be the right way, but it is a way. There's laws against that here in America. I don't know about Canada. Cheap foam stuff, take out, free toy materials. Yeah, that's true. If I had a droid army, that'd be great, but not yet. No droid army yet. Okay, so that is primed. Nice, lovely primer coat on there. See one little teeny spot. I'll probably find another spot or two because, I'm me and I know my own limits, but let that dry. All right, now we can move on to putting a quick black coat on here that'll dry quick. Again, we'll use the model paints for that. That's a good let's see here. That's a good statement, Bjorn. A lot of this stuff is not how to do it, but it is how famine does it. Because you saw a Terminator, you know how that thing turns out. And for this, I'm just painting over that piece of foam that we applied, or that I applied earlier in the day. And then we just went over it with the black magic sauce to seal it up so the paint doesn't seep into the foam and then, have to put on 20 coats. And I'm just using that black hobby paint from Army Painters to get the coating on here. A little, quote, primer over the primer. And this is going to get adhered to the wall, so it's really not going to get banged up. So in this case, that outer coating of the Mod Podge mixed with the acrylic is just for the protection of the foam so that it doesn't absorb the paint. We don't have to do 20 coatings. We can just kind of do a couple of good coats of paint, weather it, and then stick it up there and not have to worry about it again. All right, that's all taken care of here. All right. Let's see, what else can we do? Guess we'll put another coating of black on this because you can see I didn't use any Mod Podge, which I tend to seal some of this stuff up. The MDF soaked up the black on here. So I'll just go ahead and... I might not have had a lot of paint loaded on my brush either when I brushed that on there. Could have just been to clean off the paint off my brush. And I was like, oh, I will, seal this while I'm here. And this Army Painter paint dries effing quick, so... Paint the edges. That is a Jensen piece. Yeah, just one of the fill pieces. I popped it out and set it aside to use it again. Scraped that up earlier, so we'll take care of that. A couple of scrapes here and there. Nothing major, but we don't need too much of the original plastic color showing through before it takes away a little bit of the realism of what we're going to try with the dry brushing and the weathering. Yep. That's it for me too, is when I learn something, man, I just apply it and stack that onto the layers of knowledge that I already have. I can't guarantee what I do. Like I said, it's the right way to do it, but it is a way that I do it. So I guess while we wait for paint to dry, which seems to be a lot of the stream, but that's customizing, baby. Let's take this piece here. Get this paint out of the way. Do a little quick cleanup here. Throw away the trash. Don't need all these slivers and stuff of foam. I used to be that guy, like save like little tiny, like 16th of an inch strips of material and be like, oh, I might need it someday. That stuff's garbage. Throw it away. You don't need it. You're not going to need it. Have I done a tutorial on any of my videos where I show like my multi-layered rust technique? Somebody go back and watch all my videos and let me know in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you, and just let me know in the comments. Hey, make sure you wash the dishes and do something nice for her. That's awesome. Have a good night, Justin. And no, don't. You're not doing something nice. Just helping out. I could, and for a little bit, for a little small amount of time in my hobbying career, I thought that maybe I should hold on to stuff and like, keep it and just that's, you gotta learn. How do people learn? By watching other people do it. There's really no place to go to do this. There's just a multitude of different things, and I happen to like those different things, and I learn these skills. So bring you guys down here. So when I did this originally, as you can see, I put down a base coat, did some weathering on there. I want to change this. So first thing I'm going to do is get all these stickers off of here, because that'll make it easier for us to scuff this down and paint. And you can see, just comes right off. Set that aside there, a little sticker there. QR code. I don't even know what that QR code was for. Oh, that's right. I wheat pasted that on there. Not real wheat paste. I just Mod Podged it on there. I wet the back, soaked the back of it, slapped it up on some already wet Mod Podge on there, let that cure, and then went over it with a couple of coats, and then graffitied over it. So that's probably going to leave some texture. But that's okay, because this world is very lived in that I talk about. And if you go out to places and you see things that are textured and been graffitied and painted over and, graffitied again, it's got texture. It's got layers like an onion, like an ogre. Get that guy off there. Boom. We'll just keep at this here. And even if I take some of the paint off, which I just did there down to the black primer, it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Get this little silly sticker off of here. Little shooting star piece. Okay. And then that's all just graffiti on there and wire. And again, you guys can see it's just that twisted wire that I put in my drill. Yep. Yeah, no, I believe that. A lot of what I picked up in my early years was like on Jedi Defender. And even then it was like that dude Owen Driscoll was making a lot of like play sets and dioramas for people. And his pieces were very expensive. So I never got any of them. I just had to like DIY it like we do now. But now I have an education in my back pocket, and I follow plenty of people from the film industry who work in prop and set design, costuming, and all that shit applies to this, right? All of it is very similar to what we do. Yeah. And that's the thing, is learning is half the fun for this, I think. Is half of the process, is just like getting to learn how to do new things, trying it out, trial and error. I love testing things. Um, I will test something instead of just like, oh, okay, I've read 15 things and I think this is the way that it should be done. This is the way that everybody on the internet saying it should be done. I'll still go ahead and test it because I like getting a solid piece of proof. Not often will I go, screw it, we're just going to do it this way and hope for the best unless I'm like on a real rush job. And then I don't take a lot of shortcuts. I just do particularly, yeah, the sets on the adult. No, independent filmmakers, miniature makers who do miniatures for movies. Um, I follow Adam Savage, who does a lot of prop work, but also tells you about miniature making, does miniature making. Um, the Stan Winston Studios page, follow them because sometimes they drop tips from the classes. I took the class for a year. I'm really excited to be able to do another year of that class again coming up. So that's really cool. And that's just going to add to my value as a maker, and the skills that I have that I can, pass along and try them out and see if they work for what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Like I said, Owen Driscoll, when Chewy was doing his diorama stories, his monthly, or almost, there was one point where he was doing like one a week and trying to figure out like how he did certain things and pick his brain. He goes by Diorama Filler on Instagram, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. But he was Chewy on Jedi Defender. Just take this stupid little sticker off too. I don't even like that guy. So now we've got all that stuff off of there. We'll clean up this little bit of debris we've got here. So paper craft crates. Yeah. Rebel Scum. I left Rebel Scum when Philip Wise sold all the members' emails to Toys R Us. And we started getting spam emails from them. And he was like, yeah, I sold it. I thought it'd be a great thing for the... Nope. Sorry, Philip Wise. You can eat me balls. Ask me how I feel about Philip Wise. If you can't figure it out. There's very few people in the Star Wars community that really bug me. He would be one of them. I couldn't believe that. He just took all his members' information and sold it without like consulting or letting anybody know like, hey, you can opt out. And was just like, yeah, no, this is fine. Thanks, man. And this here was painted on to look like neon. Never really liked the way it looked. It did look pretty cool under the black light, but I know now that I can do better if I want to ever revisit this type again. So I'm just knocking down those high points here with this sanding stick. I could be real precious about it. I'm not gonna, because again, texture. But knocking it down a little bit will help me repaint it. I don't know who Mike Zero is. Just for this, we'll just all right. So sounds like I'm not missing much. I get maybe if I saw a picture of him or something, I don't know. I guess we'll base coat this in black again. Yeah, we'll base coat this in black. I think we might even texture it. I guess I could make up a batch of that. Yeah, why don't I do that? So we've got. I'm gonna give away the store here, guys. This is what I've been working on as like a mixture. going to show it to you. I don't know if I should or not. Kind of giving away the house here. I don't know if, you know, do this Ko-Fi thing. I'm just giving away the store. All right. So this is very top secret stuff here. We're going to need a little mixing container. I don't know where my little paper cup collection is. So we'll set this out of the way. Boy, Famine, you were almost prepared for today's show. You were doing really well. And then you decided to wing it and go rogue. Just thinking if I want to go get paper cups. I know what I'll use. So I keep this bottle of screws, you know, for when I have a headache. I'll use that lid in a second. But first, the puppy dogs are very excited. So, because they've been so good, come here. I'm giving them Bjorn, I feel like you're attacking me right now because I love putting caps in my videos because it gets me clicks. Come on over here. Come here, guys. Come on. Over here, cowman. All right, Rosie. Sit. Oh, careful. Oh, honey, are you okay? Silly girl. You all right, honey? Where'd you go? There you are. Come on. Yeah, man, sit. Good boy. Come on up here, Stark. Come on. Good girl, Rosie. Come on. Good girl. Come on. You got it. You're not going to fall again. Come on. Right here. Sit. Sit down, Rosie. Oh, good girl. Come on, Stark. Come on up here, buddy. He doesn't want to go up there. He just saw what happened. There you go. Ready? Good boy. Oh, Mama Rosie, you made a mess. Are you okay, honey? Oh, dear. Well, that's just there's pieces everywhere. My goodness, there's chaos in the streets. Oh, my Lord. Oh, baby Jesus. Help me, John Cena. There we go. All right. Good job, guys. All right, so used to have containers, and then I cleaned, and I was like, I don't need this. Yeah, I gotta do it. I gotta have something to mix this in. I know where I've got paper cups, I think. Yep, there's one. So I have a stack of rolls of tape in the back for masking, and I store things inside of it. Got a paper cup right here. So this is the secret ingredient. This is the stuff that's going to get you, right? So we take our regular matte Mod Podge, plaid brand. Pick it up, get it at the store. Take this, go about. There you go. About a quarter of the way. Make sure you put your lid on nice and tight. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. That's despicable. Yeah, I'm glad I don't know who this guy is. All right, so like I said, that was matte Mod Podge. Got to make sure it's matte. Next step. You're going to go The sound effects aren't necessary, yes. Okay, so that's in there. Now, see, I don't know if I want to show you guys the secret. You know, Rad mentioned gatekeeping. That seems pretty cool. I like gates. I like to keep them. That's a terrible dad joke, Famine. Well, I'm a terrible dad because I'm not one. All right. Soda bicarbonate, baking soda. Just about the same amount of Mod Podge is going to be baking soda. So your cup's going to be almost full. All right. That's the secret ingredient now. I've told you guys this. You can't tell anyone. You gotta keep this to yourself. Those are watching the replay. You gotta keep this to yourself. You can't share this with anybody. Okay. And then I always have paintbrushes that have lost their bristles or whatever. And then just place that in there. And then you start to mix it in. It's going to start to get really thick. That's what you want. And you just want to keep working it together. Work the soda, bicarb soda, and the black paint, and the Mod Podge, all to mix in together, right? And it's going to start to get the texture almost like brownie batter. A little bit granular. But what that does, this actually may need a little bit more baking soda. Let's see here. Kick this up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to add a little more baking soda to that. Okay. But essentially you want like almost a thick brownie batter texture, closer to frosting. And then when you put this stuff on, I don't use like a precious dry brush or anything like that. I just use a regular brush. And then I layer it right on. And when it dries, that baking soda gives everything just the slightest texture, especially in, areas that you want rusting and stuff. You want to make that metallic, that grittiness that rust has really helps. And number two, if you want to make something look like stone, this stuff is great for that too. So I'm not going for like the spackle look of Tatooine or Mos Pelego or, Freetown, Mos Eisley. None of that. I'm going for more of like a things are made from giant hunks of stone. Entrances are carved from pieces of gravel and rock, and that's the texture we're looking for. Boys and girl, go on up there. Why do you keep going over by the door, weirdos? But yeah, that's what you're looking for. And I just keep scraping until I get everything off the sides, work it in. It almost looks like tar. And it's not shiny. Like that little bit of glare is just from the top, but the inside looks like nice and dull. And that's the ticket. That's it right there. That's my secret texture primer instead of like adding texture paste afterwards. So go ahead and get that applied on there. But wanted to share that with you guys. So that's between us. A little less like Flintstone House. More like intentionally built and not built by, a guy yelling yabba dabba do at the end of the workday. Stark, what are you doing, buddy? Get over there, silly man. And it sits nicely as like a little glop brush. And then, here we go. Just start applying it. It's got really good coverage, dries really nicely, and I've been using that on quite a few things, and I'm really liking how it's coming out. And you can also like stipple it instead of having these lines that are drag lines from the brush, because it is thicker. You know, this isn't going on here like your regular run-of-the-mill paint. It will spread. You can use the brush as you see me doing right now. It's not a special, unique dry brush. It's not a, mop brush. Just a regular old paintbrush for acrylic painting. Applying that to the outside of this. I want to get a good coating on there. And then there's a couple of ways. What are you licking off the floor, you little weirdo? You're a strange man, Stark. You're a strange man. Got a piece of cardboard. So, get this all on here, right? Get it on there. Don't be afraid to, hit your corners and all that. And then once I've got that on there, I'll just take my brush and just stipple over it. Takes care of those bristle lines that I've dragged through. Evens it out too. Some of those areas where I brushed it on kind of heavy, this pushes it around and kind of like helps level it out and give that texture of like a sandstone or a limestone that's maybe been in the wind for a while. And now you're starting to see it. You're starting to see the vision here. And then when that dries, when you start dry brushing that, it's going to pop. Do that there. Get in here. Bjorn, what did you do? Weird. I had to change that music. And again. Now right here, I will be a little more precious with it because there's a button there that I want to keep. So I'll just get around that. And I can, if I miss any areas, I can always go back in with some black paint before I do all my dry brushing and weathering and just fill in that spot, but pretty good. Get spread up there. For whatever reason, when I did this, I don't know if I textured the ceiling inside this little vestibule here. And maybe it doesn't need to be, but we'll see. The floor, we'll leave the floor as that, because I think I have some metal that we could put there at a later time. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But we'll just get this on here. Like I said, just spread it out. Dab it so that it has that texture, that familiar visual texture. We'll do the floor of the stone. And if anybody's ever lived in a desert or near a desert or in a really dry climate like Texas, where things are dry most of the year, you know that you bring that dust in the house no matter what. And then here what I'll do is imagine your footpath, your foot traffic through here. So I'm really going to go ahead and it's going to be a doorway. I'm just redoing this as a doorway and more of the exterior that I want it to be with the world. Like I said, a lot of this was a fortress at a previous time. That it was used as like a smuggling location, and now it's kind of like a low key port of call for people who are trying to hide out and smuggle things. So there's a lot of remnants and articles and relics that are left behind. Why are you growling at the cat? She's doing nothing wrong. She's literally not even paying attention to you, buddy. So, and adding this sandstone texture will make it in keeping closer to some of the other things that are in the area around it. So it's almost like, yeah, somebody already put this door here years ago, and we've just like retrofitted it with technology to open and close the doors. Hmm. My buddy sent me his backpack that he used while he was over there, and yeah, that sucker still got sand in it. And I've emptied it like 3 or 4 times. Really, like emptied it, beat it outside, sprayed it out, and it's like embedded in that bag's DNA. Michaels in like the in the woodcraft section, but they have like office stuff that's like pen holders and shit like that. Now here, this is where we got to be careful because this wire is so thin. But I'll make it happen, Captain. We're just covering up that graffiti, that paint that's on this side. So we'll just get this on here, make it look good. And we're just being precious around this, cardboard and stuff here. Get it on there. And I can always dry brush that cable, or actually just drag a brush over top of it and pin it nicely and make it stand. Business card holder at nice. That's a score. Just get that in there in the recesses. And I know you guys can't see, but I need to be able to see what I'm doing here to get in all these little spots. So apologies that the visual isn't there for you, but you'll see when I'm done. I'll make sure I show the camera. Try and get as close and as careful as I can. And then hopefully when I start tapping this down, it'll spread out and touch those areas that I need it to. Brushing it on. Can I get you measurements of this thing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, I could try, Bjorn. It's just gotta when it's dry. Pretty quick. I would say no slower than regular acrylic paint. It's just I give it some time to dry out. Like it's already starting to dry up as I go over it and hit a couple of spots. Depends on how thick you layer it on. That's entirely up to you. If you want really, really like a lot of texture, you can go kind of heavy and ham with it. But entirely up to the user. And I'm already putting a second layer on the stone on the bottom. I want it to be really like textured, and maybe whoever built this doorway thought about that, and if there was any moisture they didn't want you to slip, so it's really like more gnarlier stone than polished stone. I know who built this, by the way. I'm not just, imagining what ifs. Like, in my head I have plenty of knowledge and on the lore of who built this. I just don't want to share it because it's going to incorporate some customs in the future and things like that. But look, see, it's already dry. That's just from my fingers being on the brush. But here, that finger's clean. It's already dry. I do see a spot that I missed though, so I will go ahead and dab that on there. I'll hit that too. Thank you. Cover that up. I'm going to keep the top of this thing the same texture that it's got. I'll just repaint that. I'll go ahead and cover that up too. Keep the pipe though. Keep that sticking out just like it is. Leave it alone. And as I said, this stuff dries quick. So we'll leave that up there. And now I can set this aside. I'll put this in a container with a lid. I've got a couple of those floating around, and I'll have a little jar of it to utilize. But and then here's a tip. I do get as much of it out of the brush as I can before I put the brush in the water, just so that there's less debris on there for it to fight when I rinse off the brush. Really get that out of there. All right. So set that aside, like I said. And we're gonna go ahead and we'll get one of these finished tonight. We'll finish this guy up right here. So I know I use the plate metal on this as a base when I do any of these pipes. So we'll go ahead and do a little bit of plate metal on there. Which is incredible, as I cleaned and then I made a mess today while cleaning. Very, very crafty of me. Not very world maker of you, bro. Okay. And we'll go ahead and use this brush here. And like this is just a very quick spread around. Make sure you get it around those rivets, over top of the rivets. This is army paints, war paints, and this is plate metal is the color. It's got very good coverage, very high pigment on this paint. So I literally put a couple of drops on here and I'm almost done with it, and I could probably do another section if I wanted to. Okay, I've got that all in there. So it's all silvered up, right? Got it all the way around. Give that a couple of seconds to dry, and it will dry fast. And then I guess while there's still some paint on my brush, we can start dry brushing on this guy. So I will, well, I'll use a dry brush on this. We're going to do it. We do it right, guys, right? If we're going to do it, we just do it. Plate, metal, fry good. Silvery metal paints remain sticky. Oh, no. This stuff dries. And especially if you dry brush it on, you're not, caking it on. But I mean, this shit dries quick, my friend. Okay. Here I am, just dry brushing. This Greebly. Wait a second. Starting to pick up the high points, not going too crazy with it. I think I can afford to go a little bit on there. Recently discovered, yeah, oh, enamel paint's the worst. Enamel, I don't use enamel paints for near anything. I have like 1 or 2 enamel paints for very specific purposes. None of them are painting related. I just never had any real luck with enamel. Enamel has its purposes. It's just nothing that I need it for. And just dry brushing, like I said, hitting some high points, letting the material pick itself up. And I think the back plate that this is all on, I think I'll do that in like an industrial green or gray, maybe a blue gray. That'd be cool. And then, put some chipping and rust on there. So this will really stand out as like a part of something that was repurposed into something else. Just a little bit of dry brushing, and it takes that a far way. And you could just be done here. Like this could be it, and that would still look badass. But I'm going to take it a little bit extra because I'm me. But I'm really happy with that. So we did the plate metal. We'll do shining silver next for some high points. And this will be really light. And in fact, I'm not even going to dry brush this shining silver on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a fine-tipped Wargamer brush. And I'm just going to edge highlight a couple of spots on here with this silver. Pretty much everything, Tank. We laughed, we cried, we threw up. Somebody peed in the punch bowl. Not saying it was Bjorn, but it is Bjorn. Still a little too much on the brush. But yeah. Here I'm just hitting some high points on certain pieces. Areas where the metal might get worn a little more. And now it just really, a couple of spots really stand out. Draw your eye to it. Yeah. I dig that. Cool. So that's taken care of. There you go. All right, so we got a lot done. I'm not gonna lie to you, we did a lot more than I thought we'd get done tonight. We greeblied up a greebly, give it more character. That went from one of these with just some cardboard, some foam, and a piece of plastic to this. Once this is painted up, it'll get mounted to the ceiling. Well, the ceiling of the starport, or a wall. We don't know. And that's how it started. That's how it's going. So we got that out of the way. I showed you guys some of my super secret sauce. That recipe there is in the video. I probably should make just a dedicated video on that. We put primer and we put paint on there, some silver. I'll finish weathering that up. We applied the super secret sauce to an already existing piece to give it a new fresh look of life, and it's already dried and ready for dry brushing. I am going to put a base coat of color on here first before I dry brush it, but like if I wanted to just throw it up there like that, I could. Not going to, but I could. We looked at Greeblies. We talked about using hot glue in molds. That's a fun tip there. Like I said, you can pipe it in there, stick it in the oven, let it, settle. Those silicone molds, again, only use silicone molds that are rated for high temperatures. Don't use, molds that you made on your own with like kitchen. No, don't do that. We went ahead, did a little sanding, did a little dry brushing on this bad boy. We're turning this into an excellent wall hanging greebly, so that's going to be cool. Like I said, this back plate's probably going to get like a industrial gray blue. I'll add some chipping and some weathering, some rusting down here at the bottom, and we'll get that stuck up there. We also opened up that hole that was marked. It looked like there maybe was a piece broken off in there. We opened that up, and we'll be able to run a cable through it. So that's also cool. I could also, just looking here, not going to say I do it, but if you went ahead and did that on the side of a building, like, that's awesome. That could be, the generator from outside, air purifier, number of things. I don't know. Bjorn didn't say anything. It's very bizarre. Bjorn's a dear friend of the show, so we don't want Bjorn to get in any trouble. Bjorn didn't do anything wrong. Unless you're doing stuff in other chats, Bjorn, then shame on you. Don't do that. I don't know. I'm not your boss. Putting away some of my stuff here. So we want to clean this up. We talked about making tiny rivets out of foam. I showed you guys how to make rivets out of foam. That was fun. So, all in all, true. But all in all, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. It was a really great stream. A lot of people turned out tonight, so thank you. This is probably going to be my regular my time slot on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. I want to thank you. Like I said, if you want to help contribute to the show, ko-fi.com/Famine Studios. Always helps. Love that. Follow me on Instagram, like the video, share it with a friend. If you try any of this, tag me on Instagram. Let me know. I want to see it. And I appreciate you guys being here. If you're watching the replay, thanks for sticking around. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked anything, or you have any questions, throw them in the comments section. I'll be glad to answer them, or somebody from the group who's been here, who's seen the videos, will point you in the right direction. Really cool team of people that watch this stuff that were really helpful. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go wash my hands, go wash my paintbrushes, feed these dogs, see if it's still snowing outside. Yes, that's right. It's snowing here in upstate New York. We made it all the way to November 21st. So hope you guys are well. Like I said, World Makers Consortium, we're off for 2 weeks, so we will not be there on Friday. I'm going to be at a concert. People got holiday stuff, but we will be back. We're going to be doing a holiday giveaway. Mondays is the Toy Squad, so be sure to check that out over on Rad Toys channel or over on the Wenzel Reboot. You know where to find that. Enjoy your day. Be thankful. And I'm not just talking about Thanksgiving. Like, be thankful for all the shit that we've got, all the opportunities we have to do things. And on Thanksgiving, if you do celebrate it, do a little research, see whose land you're chilling on, what Native American tribes and councils were on that spot. Be thankful for that. But otherwise, have a great day, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Sure, like the video, all that fun stuff. Enjoy your week. Be well. And if you do get the day off on Thursday, enjoy that. Work on your world building stuff. You don't have to watch football. Too sweet me. Take care, guys. Thanks again.